All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're very glad to have you as we learn about creating a winning capability statement for government contracting with Michelle Chenault. So, as you know, we strive at the Chamber to make sure that our members are ready, willing, and able to take advantage of any contracting opportunity, especially government contracting opportunities where a lot of our opportunities lie. So thank you for joining us today. Just before we get started, I want to let you all know that after today's event, we will also be hosting 2 more events in the month of November. Next Monday, we will host How I Made It as part of our Supporting Our Success program, financial literacy series with Chase Bank and Hush Blackwell, as well as Councilmember Edward Pollard's office from District J. We will be discussing how Chef Don Bowie has mapped his journey to success in creating a culinary empire. And I think that anyone in business will be able to take away some nuggets, especially with regards to building a team. Chase has supported him financially, and then he has an attorney on his team as well. So you won't want to miss that presentation, and it'll be next Monday at 11:30. And then the following Monday, we will have an aviation forum with the Houston Airport System. And during that forum, we'll be discussing opportunities in aviation, as well as kind of dismantling any mystery behind doing business with the Houston Airport System. So we hope that you will stay tuned for that. Please stay tuned to our social media and our newsletters for more information about those 2 events. And so now I would like to toss the conversation to Tico Reynolds-Hausman, who is the chair of our Economic Development Committee, to introduce Michelle. Tico?
Thank you, Carol. Good afternoon, everyone. I also send you greetings from the Chamber Board of Directors, where I also serve as a volunteer. And today we are going to learn about a winning capability statement. As Carol alluded, there's lots of opportunity in government contracting. And with this new Biden administration and the rescue funds, understanding how to fish in that pond is going to become even more critical to your sustainability and growth opportunities as a business. And so Michelle has over 14 years working with small businesses, nonprofits, and entrepreneurs, helping them navigate the hurdles of business ownership. After a successful career in operations and project management, owner and principal Michelle Chenault felt compelled to help others navigate the web of government contracting, corporate compliance, and business formation. Michelle's clients describe her as thorough, easy to talk to, and able to get the job done. She takes away the intimidation and fear that comes with the massive opportunities provided by government and corporate contracting. And so without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Michelle.
Thank you, Tico. Thank you, Carol. I'm honored to be here this morning and to present to all of you. So let me share my screen and let's get going. All right, so just to give you a little bit of a background, I do welcome interaction. Ms. Carol is going to moderate the chat box for questions, and I am perfectly fine with stopping and answering any questions as we go along. This is going to be detailed information. I'm going to go through it a little bit quickly because I want to make sure we finish through the slides, but at the same time, make sure I have enough time for Q&A with everyone. Again, my name is Michelle Chenault. I'm managing consultant for Chenault Management Consulting. And again, I've been doing this for over 14 years, as Tico mentioned, and I'm originally from California, moved to Houston in January 2020, just before the pandemic hit. So I had the opportunity to come to a couple of the GHBC events, and was very honored to hear Ms. Carol speak at a couple of those events. So again, it's an honor to be here today. So let's jump into it. In wanting to do government and corporate contracting, and again, we're going to focus on government contracting, but there is also opportunity in corporate contracting that is similar along the lines of government, having the similar requirements as well. So intermittently, I will reference government and corporate contracting. And this is a process where businesses provide products or services to the government, and government means as low as the school district, the utility district, the water district, your local city, county, and many other agencies that are considered government. So it's not just federal, it's also very local when it comes to the entities that you can work with. And we're going to discuss capability statement and why it's so important. I had a client recently want to get into government contracting. He signed himself up with Fort Bend Independent School District, was excited to get going. And they said, hey, where's your capability statement? And he CC'd me on the email and sent over a description of what he does and a couple of screenshots. And I was like, whoa, let's pull it back. Tell him I'm sorry I sent the wrong email, and let's talk about what an actual capability statement is. It is your business's resume. So it is extremely important that you understand this represents your business. When it comes to corporate contracting, government contracting, you want to make sure that you represent yourself correctly, and you want to represent yourself with your best foot forward. So it's often used when it comes to bidding, when it comes to introducing yourself to a government agency that's looking to hire someone with the services or products that you provide. And it's also tailored to that audience and whether or not you're going to be the prime contractor or the subcontractor. And that means you are the person they're directly contracting with, or the prime contractor that they're directly contracting with might want to contract with you and you become the sub. Working with the government agencies, there's all phases of pursuing business with them. It's essential for you to set your business apart, your business, your product, your service. You want to set it apart from your competitors. And you want to make sure that when they look at your statement, they see you as being different from what they are already been working with. All right. So the goals of a capability statement is you want to be able to identify your value proposition, highlight your past performance in whatever it is that you're offering, whether it's offering a service or a product. You want to be able to highlight your past performance in providing that service or product. Then you want to list your differentiators. How are you different from someone else who's offering the same service or product? And then present your professional persona. That comes to the branding, that comes to how your capability statement is designed. And it comes to so many other things that if they're looking at your website, your email address, everything comes under that personal professional persona. There are 3 different types of capability statements. The main one is your general. You want to start off with having a general capability statement. And this is just for nothing, no specific contract, no specific entity. It's just, this is me, ABC, I'm offering this service, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to send this out to different agencies that may or may not be looking for my service. A targeted capability statement is going to be for a specific contract. So Harris County put out a RFP for staffing services. So Perfection Staffing is going to go and customize their capability statement specifically to the RFP that Harris County put out. Requested capability statement means that Fort Bend County heard about Perfection Staffing. I'm picking up Perfection Staffing because she's in my eyesight. So Fort Bend County heard about Perfection Staffing and they want to work with them. So the contract is in a low enough dollar amount where they can go directly to Perfection Staffing and say, hey, can you send me your capability statement? I want to pitch you to our hiring or deciding team. And so that when it's requested, then you really want to tailor in onto that capability statement and make it specific to whatever that person is requesting from you. Now, the 5 components, these are requirements. These are not optional. These are requirements of a capability statement. You have your mini business card. I always recommend that being at the top. And later on in the presentation, you will see that I have sorry, I put my timer on there. You'll see that I have a template that we can look at later. But you're going to want to make sure you have your contact information as your mini business card. That contact information doesn't have to be specific to you, but specific to your business. So if you have an office and you have someone who answers the phone, then that's where you can put your office address, your main line, and the general email address. But make sure that those are, that's an office that people are housed at. That's a phone number that someone's going to answer, and that's an email someone's going to check. Core competencies. You want to list one to three sentence introduction and followed by bullet points of your core competencies. What makes you great at what you do, and why are you capable of even providing this product or service? Past performance is another section. You want to list clients from the past 1 to 3 years and prioritize them by relevancy. So if someone was 2 years ago and it's more relevant than someone 6 months ago, list that one that was 2 years ago. Don't worry about listing it in chronological order, list it in relevancy, because they might just look at one bullet. And if you put one that's kind of relevant but is recent, you might not get to that second or third bullet. Differentiators. This is hard for some business owners because you think of yourself in a certain way, but it's hard for you to say, or it's hard for you to say, I'm so great because, or you could say, I'm so great because I'm unique. So it's either difficult for someone to say why I'm great, or someone will take the more general verbiage and say why they're great, and it doesn't work. We'll drill down more into a differentiator, but this is important. And I always suggest everyone to think about, what is your value proposition? Make sure you have a value proposition, and that will help drill down and give you some bullet points for your differentiators. And then finally, your company data. This is where you list your certifications, your federal registrations, and codes. And we'll get into detail again what those codes are and what those registrations are. All right, so here's the mini business plan components. Number one, first and foremost, your capability statement must be titled capability statement. Across the top, and again, we'll see examples later, but across the top, it absolutely 100% must say capability statement. It should also have your business logo. And then there, it'll have that business contact information. If you're a solopreneur, then that's all of your information. If you have a brick and mortar, or if you have a remote call center or a remote office, anything that has any other information to contact, you can put that on there in this section if you prefer. If it is not a walk-in brick and mortar address, make sure you notate that. But if you can receive mail there, then don't worry about it. Nowadays, no one's just gonna show up due to the COVID protocol, but make sure that is an address that can receive mail there. And then also your website. If you have a website, excuse me, go ahead and list that. If you have a bunch of pages that are under construction, don't list it. Again, this is representing your business. You wanna have your best foot forward. Carol, do you wanna stop me for any questions right now, or are we doing good?
So far, we're doing pretty good. Don't see any questions at the chat.
Okay, perfect. Here's our second section, core competencies. When you want to convey to your customer what your product or service is, it should be done in just a few sentences with bullet points. So you'll want to say, what is your relevant product or service? So for me, I provide operations assessments. And what makes that important is I provide operations assessment that allows companies to grow successfully. Second service, I also offer core capability statements and services. So whatever the core competencies are that are relevant to whatever the contract is, you want to make sure you list those. And then come to third component, past performance. This is where it's going to get a little tricky, because you want to really deep dive into what you have done in the past and why is it relevant to this contract, or relevant to this RFP, request for proposal, or why is it relevant to this agency that you're seeking to have a relationship with. You're going to want to use, again, the most relevant data at the top. So you're going to list the data by the date the contract was performed. Who was the customer? Was it the government? Was it a corporate client? Was it another small business owner? Who was the client? And were you the subcontractor? Were you the prime contractor? Again, that means, were you the main person contracted with them, or were you partnered with another contractor that was the main partner? You can also talk about having your past performance as an employee. So if you're a new business owner, you'll want to talk about what you've done as an employee, and you'll want to list your owner in that position. So for each customer, you're going to list contract title, if you have a contract title, and a very brief description of the work. And then again, going back to identify this experience, was it gained as the prime, the sub, or as an employee? And if it was as an employee, list were you a W-2 employee, or if you're a 1099 contractor employee. That's important for them to know as well. And again, this information must be included. It cannot be left off. Okay, and here, there are 3 areas of impact that should be addressed in your value proposition. Let's see here.
So Michelle, we have a question from Patrick Kelly.
Okay.
He wanted to know if you're able to share a template.
Yes, I'm going to discuss the sections and then we're going to review with the templates. I do have a template to go through.
Okay, and then we have another question from Dr. Tasha Dickerson. Do you list the company you worked for if you choose to use experience as an employee?
Yes, you do. And you might want to give them a heads up. Again, anytime you want to use a previous employer as a reference or referral, you want to give them a heads up that you're going to be using them, so that if they are called, they'll know why, in what regard that they're being referenced. All right. So here is an example of how you're going to write that section about your past experience. So you're going to say, as a subcontractor to prime company A, I provided these services to enable successful implementation of new technology. We completed the project in 6 weeks, allowing our customer to reduce costs by $1 million. So you just want to do a very, very brief description when you're listing what you did on that contract. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the 4th component. And this is where you're talking about your differentiators. This is how you're going to identify yourself as being different from your competitors, to show why they should choose you over someone else that's doing the same business. I see that we have Cultured Realty on the call as well. Why would I choose Cultured Realty over Keller Williams? Well, Cultured Realty may be a small boutique firm. They're able to provide one-to-one consultation. They also provide training. I'm just speaking off the cuff for Cultured Realty, but there may be differentiators that they're able to offer as being a boutique firm versus Keller Williams, that is this large chain firm. That is a differentiator. You also want to think of what is going to be unique and desired to that contractor, to that agency. Why would they think that this is going to be a differentiator? Or when you look at their site, or you look at past contracts that they have given out, why do you think they that vendor? So think of that when you're thinking about what your differentiators are when you're putting together your capability statement. And then also, do you or your team members have any key relationships that you can leverage? So if I'm going to go after a contract, let's say with the Greater Houston, no, not Greater Houston, what is it? The other chamber, the Greater Houston Partnership Chamber, I'm getting the words wrong. Say I want to go after a contract with them and I want to do a workshop, and they're requiring capability statement. Well, I'm going to use this as an example. I'm going to use my key relationship in doing a workshop for the Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce and show that that is something that I did as something that is differentiated, and that this is a key relationship that I can leverage to them. I'm not going to do that, Carol, just saying.
No, we want your business to go as well, Michelle. So it's all good. But we do have a question in the chat from Perfection Staffing, Ms. Barbara. Mm-hmm. And I think this may apply to more than one person. For those who have prepared their own capability statements, do you offer services as far as reviewing those?
Yes, absolutely. I provide always a 30-minute free consultation for whatever that consultation need is. And we can go through your capability statement in 30 minutes. You can send it to me. I can go through in 30 minutes, but I always do that and then give feedback. And then you could take it from there, or, you know, we can engage with each other. But absolutely, I think that's very important to offer that service to everyone who's going into government contracting.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And then another differentiator, if you've received any specific and relevant training, if you're doing leadership coaching and you've gone to a specific training workshop that is going to leverage you, not necessarily that it's a certificate that you receive, but you've gone through that specific training. So you could say you've gone to, what is this, Anthony Robbins training, and you're able to do X, Y, and Z. So that would be considered a very specific training that could be a differentiator to someone who just, went to this SBA leadership training. Both of them are great, but one is going to definitely differentiate you over the other. And the other thing is your team highly skilled? So for Cultured Realty, if Cultured Realty has agents on their staff that have been in the industry for at least 10 plus years each, if they've all done some type of training, if they have sold, multiple houses in a specific time, or they turn over the houses quickly, then you're going to highlight your team as highly skilled, and you're going to want that as a differentiator. And then when it comes to the fifth component, which is company data, this information must be included. And this is where you're going to have its own little section. This is your DUNS number. If you haven't already registered your business with Dun & Bradstreet, please do so. Dun & Bradstreet creates a business profile. It also sets up your business's creditworthiness. So it tracks any loans that you've received, any grants that you received, and lets anyone who wants to look to do business with your loan money to you see what your creditworthiness is. So I definitely recommend getting going to see. Another thing as a heads up, sometimes the Dun & Bradstreet profile might be set for your business without you ever having gone to the website. Sometimes it's set up because of a banking relationship, a credit card, or something that you've done on your business's behalf, and that profile will be automatically generated. So please go to Dun & Bradstreet and research your business and see if it's there. And if it's there and you didn't put it in, make sure all the information is relevant. You'll also receive at the end of this presentation a cheat sheet with all of the hyperlinks to any of these sites that I discussed on this workshop.
So Michelle, we have a question, if I could.
Yes.
While we're on the topic of certifications, I'm not sure if this is a gentleman or a woman, but we have a question regarding certifications. This person is Hub certified and is interested in other certifications and wants to know how they could get those additional certifications that you mentioned here. Okay, perfect. So there are multiple ways. Again, I'll have hyperlinks to all the different types of certifications, but if you are a minority-owned business, then you're able to go to the Minority Diversity National Council, and they have a website that you can go to and apply for the Minority Business Enterprise certification. Small Business Enterprise, you can apply for that when you register your business on sam.gov. And that was another registration I was going to recommend, is do sam.gov. And through that registration, they have a link to go in and set yourself up to qualify for the Small Business Enterprise certification. One caveat that I found recently has been a setback for some small business owners is that your business may qualify as a small business, and it may, based on size and revenue. But if you, as the principal owner of that business, has a net worth over 1.2 million, then that unfortunately disqualifies your business as qualifying for a small business enterprise. So that's something to consider, which I only recently came across, because only recently did I have clients with a net worth that high, but they bought franchises, and that's what
the franchise qualified, but it was disqualified as a result overall because of the principal owner's net worth. And so with the certifications, again, that's something I have a cheat sheet for you can go directly to their sites, or that's also a service that I provide, or we can sit down and have a 30-minute free consultation and we could discuss what certifications you may qualify and what sites to go to. And again, you can get local certifications as well. If you're not looking to do any federal government contracting on a high level or a national level, you just want to do contracting within your city, within your county, or within the surrounding counties, you can go directly to their sites and go to their procurement tabs and go in and log in as a vendor and then fill out the application to qualify for their local certifications. But they will only be relevant to their surrounding area, their geographical areas. And then again, for this section, you're going to want your specific contact information. Whereas I was saying for your company mini business plan, you can have your business's information, your general business information. For this section, you want the principals. That would be your name, your email, your phone number, so they can contact you directly should they want to talk to you directly versus going through your office. And here we have our example. This is my cheat sheet that I'm going to provide for the GHBC to send out to you guys. This talks about contracting with the federal government. Here is the link to go to sam.gov to begin your registration. Here is the link for Dun & Bradstreet if you haven't already gone there to check on your site, your business's site. And then this is something that's very key, which I'm sure most of you have already looked into, is your NAICS code, because NAICS codes are pretty much requested for a lot of things, even sometimes just for a webinar, they want to know what your NAICS code is so that they can keep track of what industries that are attending their webinars and workshops online. NIGP, that's something if you've already done business with the government. The GSA schedule, again, if you've already done business with the government. And then here are some of the links that will be provided you for the certifications. So that again, that's for the SBA, their descriptions of the certifications, HubZone, Women Business Enterprise, Women Owned Small Business, and then the Small Business Enterprise. Capability statement, final layout and design. This is where I was talking about putting forth your best personal persona for your business, making sure that it is professional, make sure that it represents your business, and making sure that everything is in sync so that the colors of your logo match the colors of your website, and your email address, the root part of your email address is the domain name of your business. Oftentimes I see companies send me an email and it says @Yahoo or @Gmail. That is not a professional persona. For me, my business is Chenault Management Consulting. I didn't want that many letters in it, so I shrunk it down to mchenault.com. So that is my business. And of course, I have a Gmail that I use for everything that is personal, but I want my business persona to be as representative as possible. You see behind me that my logo is pink and gray. My presentation today was pink and gray. I try to keep everything as in sync and uniform as possible so that I'm representing the same message no matter what I'm doing. You also want to make sure that you learn the colors of your logo. What I find oftentimes is that someone might go to Fiverr.com, which is a great resource to have things done at a very great price. But if you go there and have your logo done, make sure you ask them what your color codes are, because then you'll want to take those color codes and use them when you're getting your website done. Or if you already have your website done and rebrand your logo, vice versa. Make sure you know that the color codes are on your website so that your logo is generated with those same colors. It makes a difference, guys. When someone looks at a capability statement and then they go to your website and they look to see everything else, it makes a huge difference when everything matches. Your capability statement is going to be 1 page, front side only. So you're gonna have to fit everything into 1 page. The only time it's gonna be more than 1 page is when it's requested. And they're gonna usually ask you for summaries of some of your past performance so that they can look at that as well. When it's requested, then that's when it's acceptable to have it more than 1 page. Only use relevant graphics to save space for content. You want to have as much content as possible to, again, highlight your differentiators, highlight your core competencies, but you still want some graphics in there so it doesn't look, just so unappealing to the eye. So a few graphics in there is great, or colors in there is great as well. Create your original document in a Word format so that you can easily tailor it when you need to make it into a targeted capability statement or something for a requested agency. So have it in your Word format. If you hire someone to do it, make sure they put it in Word format, not PDF, because then you're gonna have to keep going back to that person and pay them to redo it. So make sure you get it in a Word format so you have your original document and can tailor it whenever you need to do so. Also, it needs to be sent in PDF format only. So have it always in Word and then convert it to PDF before you send it off to the requesting agency or the agency that you're seeking to do business with. And then optimize it. This is a lot to ask of people that aren't that tech savvy. There is a button in Adobe when you go to do it and it says PDF optimize, because you want that document to be 1 megabyte or less. Again, very specific, and they will say this is required. I don't know if anyone ever tried to submit it over 1 megabyte and it was just rejected, but I always like to caution on the safe side of doing exactly what is asked in their requirements. And then when you save your file name, nothing fancy, nothing with numbers or anything else, your company name and the industry. And my example shows you Chenault Management Consulting Professional Services, and that's it. That's how my capability statement must be saved. And no, it doesn't say capability statement in the title. It doesn't have the date saved, revised, revision, nothing. That's it. All right, now we're to the examples. This here is a good example of a capability statement. And I'll tell you exactly why. Because it says capability statement and it has a logo and it has the mini business card on top. It also has what we do, and what we do is a good section to add if you have the space for it. Core competencies, nice bulleted core competencies. They do, this company, they're strategic thinkers. They're a consulting companies, so their core competencies, cause-related campaigns, project management, communication strategies. So they're just bulleting what they do as their core competencies. Past performances. So they say spanning over 15 years, this is what they've done. Here's the campaign that they worked on, the year that they worked on that campaign. They were as a prime contractor and a brief description of what they did. Volunteer and in-kind donation hub, as prime contractor, brief description of what they did. So that is a great example of how to highlight your past performance, what their differentiators are, excuse me. They said they have a facilitative consulting style. They have a proven track record for creative solutions, finding creative solutions, and etc. So that's what they believe is going to differentiate them to others that are going after this same client. And then off to the side, you'll find that this format that we're looking at is very, very common, where you have the company information off to the left and then the other information off to the right. This is a very easy format to do, clean, easy to read for the person that's receiving it. You'll see that they have their data about the business, the principal, headquarters, website, their certifications, agencies served. This is not necessary. Featured clients is not necessary. Here they have their industry codes, their NAICS codes. These are the various codes that they represent. Here's one highlight. Always have your main code. And I know this because this is my main code as well as professional services. Always have your main code listed as the first code. And then they have done business previously, as they said, serving government agencies So they have the NIGP code. So they have those codes. We won't necessarily have those again unless we've done business with the government previously. Here's another good example, and this one is one where I like to use because they actually have graphics on the capability statement, but it makes sense. They are a photography company, so they want to show an example, very small, but a quick example of their product. And it's a little set up a little bit differently. It's not as uniform and clear-cut as the other one, but it still hits all the marks. Company overview, core competencies. Up here, they have their business mini statement. It's called capability statement. They have the mini business card. Then they have off to the right all of the other company data that's required. They even somehow managed to have a little bit of information down here as quotes from people that they've done business with. And again, if you have that extra space, great, but I always recommend just sticking to exactly what is asked for and then using some graphics to make it just a little bit more appealing. I have an example here that is bad, and I wanted to bring this example up just so everyone can see what's not going to work. And I welcome anyone who wants to raise their hand to say the first thing that they see that doesn't work on this capability statement. And Carol, I can't see anyone, so if you can let me know who has their hand up.
Yes, at this time, if you want to, okay, yes, Barbara from Perfection Staffing has her hand raised.
Okay, perfect.
Just off the bat and skimming over it, I don't see capability statement.
Yes. Exactly. And do you see a second thing as well?
The business card that you talked about, that should be at the top.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And those are the two main things. You look at it and it could just be a company fact sheet. Company fact sheet is completely different from a capability statement. So this to me is a company fact sheet and would not qualify as a capability statement. Thank you, Barbara. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, so we're at the Q&A section. I got through this probably a little bit quicker than I had anticipated. I usually get a little bit more questions as we go through it. So again, I always offer a 30-minute free consultation. You can go to my website to click on that link, or again, you will receive my PowerPoint so you can have the access to it after this presentation. You can give me a call, text message me, whatever. I'm always available. It's very important to me to share information and to help my fellow small business owners. So thank you for your time today. And again, in the PowerPoint email that Greater Houston Black Chamber was going to give to you, you'll have my PowerPoint, you'll have the examples of the good capability statement, bad capability statement. You'll have a template for a capability statement, as well as the cheat sheet with the links to the various websites and certifications that I mentioned.
Thank you, Michelle.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your very thorough presentation. I see that Mr. Denard also saw that the wrong title was on that last document. So we definitely have an engaged and attentive audience of members that are going to have excellent capability statements. So at this time, if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. We'll spend a few minutes in conversation with Michelle. Okay, Barbara from Perfection Staffing.
Yes, I do have another quick question regarding the graphics, Michelle, that you were talking about. Is it okay to put the logos of the certification? Like I am certified with HMSDC, Hub certified, and there's a little logo. I had room enough to put it at the bottom. Is that acceptable to put those logos?
It is acceptable. And if you think it makes it look good, go ahead. But otherwise, I would steer away from logos for certifications. But if it looks good and it doesn't take up too much space, then that's fine.
Right. It wasn't crowded, and and it's just like at the bottom, at the very bottom, like where the footer would be. Then I was able to put those on there. But, you know, if you have a chance to look at it, then you can let me know if I should take them off.
Absolutely. I'd like to see, because if it does look like it's kind of separated and doesn't tie in, then I would remove them. So yeah, please send it over to me. I would welcome the opportunity to review it.
Thank you. Great presentation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm sorry. Thank you, Barbara. Any other questions anyone might have out there?
And I'm open to questions about anything when it comes to government contracting. It doesn't have to be specific to the capability statement. Again, questions about certification, getting registered in SAM.gov, or the proposal process in responding to RFPs.
We'll give, excuse me, a few minutes for our participants to gather their thoughts.
Okay.
With regard to, to government contracting. Michelle, can you elaborate a little bit on SAMS.gov and what that is for?
Yes. Okay. So SAM.gov is important to register if you want to do any type of government contracting, even if it's local, because that's where you get your CAGE code. Your CAGE code is a required code to have in government contracting. SAM.gov, it is a lengthy process. And again, you have to have your Dun & Bradstreet site established. And you have to make sure that everything on Dun & Bradstreet is correct and current. Say my business, one time they set it up as M period Chenault, and it's M Chenault with no period. So I had to make sure my Dun & Bradstreet was M Chenault with no period before I went into my SAM.gov and created my profile. Your SAM.gov profile is going to run all the data to cross-check it with your Dun & Bradstreet. Your Dun & Bradstreet cross-checked it with the Secretary of State of whatever state that you filed your entity in. All this information must match perfectly. SAM.gov will then go, you will enter, it is a lengthy process, but you will enter all the data about your business, all the data about when it comes to you and whomever else is a part of your business, any of the financials, any government contracting that you're interested in doing, if you're interested in working with the Department of Defense, Department of Transportation, and then also that's where you're going to get your federal small business enterprise certification. It takes you to another site and you have to pay attention. You have to click on the button and go out of that site and then go to another site and go through that process of being identified as a small business enterprise. And also, here's another key thing to know is when you're in that other site to do your small business enterprise certification, you're going to need your capability statement overview. So you're going to want to make sure you have at least a quick summary about your business that you're going to also include in your capability statement when you go to do that small business enterprise certification. Also, here's another tidbit for any of you that are going to do your own registration on SAM.gov, is in the beginning of that process, you're going to create an MPIN number. And that number is going to be your lifeline to SAM.gov. So when you create that, make sure you write it down wherever you write down passwords and never lose it. I have 2 clients that misplaced that when they started their own registration, and they have not been able to access their SAM.gov because, you know, calling them SAM.gov in order to get in there and get it reset has been a nightmare for them. So that's another key thing to pay attention to, is the MPIN number and making sure you have that. And then when you're going through the process, making sure you click on the button for the Small Business Administration certification.
Thank you, Michelle. Dr. Dickerson, I see your question in the chat. If you want to ask it directly, you can raise your hand and go for it. Or if you would like for me to read it, that's fine too.
No, it's no problem. Thank you. My question, Michelle, and great presentation also. My question is, when you're writing your capability statement, you're including past experience. Is it okay to include the experience of your team members, or is it only specific to that business owner?
Yeah, if you're using anything that has to do with non-business experience, so say it's your personal experience, then definitely use your experience as the principal. Where it comes to differentiators, that's where you can list 1 or 2 bullets of your team and their experience. But when it comes to past experience, core competencies, use yours.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Dickerson. Okay, and let's see. TH, if you want to raise your hand and ask your question, feel free. Or I can read it. I'll go ahead and read it. In addition to the capability statement and proposal, are there other documents that are needed to win contracts? If so, what are they?
To win contracts, you'll have to have a proposal. Unless it's something that they're just doing a sole source and they just choose based on capability statements and an interview. But generally, they request proposals. So they'll either release a request for proposal, RFP, or request for qualifications, RFQ, or request for interest or intent, an RFI. And so you'll generally respond back to that with a proposal to them. There are some that just require you to go onto their site. That's more the local, smaller agencies that you'll go onto their site and fill out the information. They'll ask you general questions and what your bid is and whatnot. But generally, there's a proposal response to actually go after that bid.
Okay, thank you. And Barbara, did you have another question?
Yes, thank you, Carol. I think I read somewhere, I understand the DUNS number will be changing to a unique identifier number. Do you have any other information about that change, Michelle?
No, but thank you for bringing that to my attention. I don't know about that, so I will be researching that. Thank you.
Yes, and then also I know that there's a paid option for the DUNS number. They have the ability to add your credit history for your business. Is it necessary to have that paid option, or?
No, you can personally go in and add any. So say if you received any of the COVID relief funds last year, then you can go ahead and enter that in to show that you've received funding, and in any receipts that you want to add as the income of your business. So if your business made $200,000-$300,000 and you want that to be reflected for public viewing to see the worthiness of your business, the profitability of your business, you can personally add that in. The paid options is for them to generate information for you or to provide additional services. But I would see that your free version, see if you can maximize that as much as possible. And if you need more additional services, then look into the paid version.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering what specifically the companies are looking for when they pull up our DUNS information.
Yeah, they're looking to see if you've ever received any loans and have you defaulted, because once you enter a loan, if you've defaulted, then that creditor can go in and make comments about your credit worthiness. But if you haven't, then it shows that you've received $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and you're still in good standing, which is excellent for a business, because then it shows that your business is good, irrespective of whatever personal credit is. That's one thing that I noticed last year in doing a lot of advising to small business owners that were looking to get COVID relief funding, is that their personal credit worthiness was not good. But some of the businesses had strong credit worthiness, so they were able to bypass that personal credit worthiness.
Okay, yeah, you kind of segued into what I was thinking. As a sole proprietor, the DUNS number is not anyway tied to my personal credit. It's just for the business, correct?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
But we always want to remember our EIN is tied to our personal Social Security number. So at the end of the day, we're still tied as sole proprietors, but DUNS is specific to your business.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, for your questions, and thank you everyone for your participation today. We are at the end of our time today, but again, we want to thank Michelle for a wonderful presentation, and thank you to Tico Reynolds-Hausman, who's the chair of our Economic Development Committee, for putting together this webinar. And if you would like to be active on the Economic Development Committee or any of our other committees or in any other way with the Chamber, we welcome your membership. Please visit www.ghbcc.com/membership to look at all of our different membership levels and what is offered with each one. And again, please stay tuned. Next Monday, we will have Supporting Our Success Financial Literacy training seminar with Chase Bank, Chef Don Bowie of Taste and Rare Restaurants, and a new concept he has called Dipped, as well as Hush Blackwell attorneys, so that you can hear about how they're assisting him in mapping out the creation of his empire. And then also with the Houston Airport System on November 22nd, where you'll hear all about the Houston Airport System and what opportunities they have available. And don't think that just because you're not in aviation business that you can't participate with the Houston Airport System or any of the other governmental entities. You would be surprised about the opportunities that they have that don't involve necessarily a direct relationship to aviation or any of the other concentrations that their names might indicate that they have. Thank you everyone again for joining. Continue to watch our social media handles. And if you enjoyed today, please post about it. And please tell a friend, please tell others about the great information that the Greater Houston Black Chamber is putting out to help grow and sustain your businesses. And we look forward to seeing you at our next event on November 15th. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Michelle, and everyone have a wonderful day. Take care.
Thank you.